and I am an electrician and an electrical inspector. I did infrared for 2 years in the same company I worked for 10 years for. I know how to diagnose, how to troubleshoot, and identify actual electrical problems and using infrared cameras to determine that. So we're going to show you exactly how to do that. I get this question a lot. When I find a problem with my infrared camera, how do I know that it's a problem? Now, it's really important. This is not a sales video on this. This is just something that I happen to have that's very nice. If you guys want it, I'll put a link down below, or you can go to my other infrared videos. It's a really nice camera, and it blows the Klein away for $100 less than the Klein. So this is how you use this. We're going to show you the setup and kind of a deep dive into infrared, how to diagnose, how to troubleshoot, and all that stuff. When we talk about voltage drop, we're not talking about the 2 times I times K times L standard thing. So when we look at voltage drop, you got the there in the back, you got the hot and the neutral. If it was 3-phase, you do 1.732. K is what copper's worth. That's kind of the resistive value of it in itself, being copper. What's up, Josh? What's up, Paul W? So there's your K, then you got your I, which is an amps intensity, and then you got your length. You divide it by your CMA, and you get the percentage of your threshold, depending on whether you're a feeder or whether you are a branch circuit, will determine how much you're allowed to drop. We're not talking about that here. We are talking about voltage drop across a connection. So when we have voltage drop across a connection, we have 120 volts coming in here. We should expect to see 120 volts on this side. But if your connection is loose, you're actually going to see what we call millivolts. Now, a millivolt is 1/1000th of a volt. So what that would look like if we go to tens, hundreds, thousands, you would have 0.03 would be 30 millivolts is what that would look like. So 1/1000th of a volt is a millivolt. Not all multimeters can read millivolts. That's very important, and is going to play into what I'm going to show you tonight. So what we're going to do, we are going to take a connection and purposely loosen it on an air conditioner so it's drawing a good load. We're going to show you how to find the problem real time and how to verify the problem. And like I said in the short, to kind of advertise this live, just because you found a loose connection on infrared doesn't always mean we have a problem. So we are going to show you how to hook this up. So what we're going to do, we're just going to plug in our infrared camera here like this, and it's going to ask us, do you want to connect? And we're going to say yes. I'm not going to click always because I hate ultimatums, but we're going to press OK, and the app is going to come up. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to get my wife's hairband here, and we're going to put it around our phone like this. And then we're going to put our infrared camera as close as we can to our actual camera, while also maintaining retention on this camera, which means we got to get a little bit of pressure on the actual camera. Something like that. Maybe we have to live with that. Sometimes I loop this down, actually, is what I did last time. That way the cord's not flexing on it. There we go. It is definitely fighting, but that's okay. Takes a minute to set up. That's good enough. And why we want to get this next to our original camera is because this thing has picture-in-picture mode. So when we pull up the camera here, we're going to see the infrared's going to turn on, just like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to push this button down here, and this one right here is picture-in-picture right there. And now we've got the digital image of our phone using the phone's camera on the same screen as the infrared camera. Then next we're going to take our points here, and we're going to go to temperature, and we're going to set our points. One, see here? Oh, we got to add the point. Okay, so we're going to select which one we want to do, whether we want to do a line or a point or a circle or a square. You can do all kinds of things. We can take a square, and we can get a nice range in between the 3 points right there. I don't know if you guys can see that clearly, but we're just going to do our own points. So we're going to take the square off. I think we got to tap it. Yeah. Then we're going to get our own point here. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, right down the middle. And that's going to give us 3 different temperature readings on our screen. The next thing that we're going to do, yeah, don't buy the Klein, Josh. I appreciate you buying me the Klein. I do like the Klein. This thing is too good. It's too good. So I'm not going to mess with all the temperatures and stuff, but we can play with the different scales and stuff just to show you. You've got brightness scale, mirroring, like all that stuff down here. But we can also do the contrast. Let me see here. We can also do the different colors. Like the Klein has more of this one going on, kind of the rainbow effect. But we're going to do the iron red because that's more typical of infrared. So now I'm going to take this camera with me and we're going to go show you what we see real time with the picture-in-picture. What's up? Oh, that is not a good screen. There we go. So now we've got picture-in-picture. We've got our temperatures up there in pink. That way you can see them. I made those pink myself at the top left. That way they're easier to see. And you can do that by going into here and selecting your different things. Maybe it's a setting, but either way, you got a lot of different options here. Even in picture-in-picture, we can change the opacity of picture-in-picture to where you've got the full image, or you've got kind of like where you can still see through it. So we're going to go like right about there. This thing is $50 off right now. I don't know how long that's going to last, but it really is a powerful tool. I don't know if we can scale this picture. I know we can move it. I don't know if we can scale it smaller. I've yet to try that. Can we pinch it? Oh, look at that. We can. This is a very powerful program because when you present this to a customer, the model is the P2. And it comes in this little case. And when this thing shuts, let me tell you, man, it shuts. Listen. Like it's a done deal. I probably can't open this with one hand. Let me see. Yeah, we got it. It is very shut. So you always have this on you. So if you do home inspections or something, and this thing has a 2-year warranty, so you're really pretty safe. So this is the Thermal Master P2. Now at the top left, we got a picture-in-picture. When you're looking at a problem to the customer, they don't know what they're looking at. So typically what you do when you build a portfolio, I'm going to go out here, I'm going to show you this. When you build a portfolio for infrared, what you typically do, let me back up one more time, right there. If this is your book, if you're old school and you got a book, right? You're going to have the problem, and then you're going to have a picture. This one here is going to be the digital. This is going to be the problem error where you found the wire coming across. You're going to have the digital picture here. This is going to be the IR picture, so they can see and correspond. This picture corresponds to this picture because the customer doesn't know exactly what they're looking at when they look at IR. So you have to take a digital picture, and this is probably industry secrets. I might piss off some people by telling you guys this because this could be their bread and butter, but this is how you do it. Then you're going to write down all that information of the piece of equipment, all the equipment information on it, and you're going to write down the breaker that you identified, and then you're going to write down here all the information of the equipment again, and then you're going to list your problem. Your problem is going to be here, and then you're going to show your voltage drop across the connection, and we're going to show you how to do that right now. Thermal master, I've got a link. Use my link, Josh, if you don't mind. I got a link on my last video of I did two ones. I did the troubleshooting video with the infrared, and I just put out another infrared video. They both have my link on there, and it does help me out, so I'd appreciate it. Okay, so then you got your infrared and your scanning, right? And we find our loose connection, but we're far from done. We still need to verify it's a loose connection by using our multimeter. We're going to show you how to do that right now, because that itself is kind of a secret. So this is what we do. Let's look in here. All right, looks pretty normal. We're going to look in here. Now we're going to see, this is why the picture-in-picture up here is so important. I'm actually going to make it a little bit darker for the stream. Like that, way we can see it easier. Yeah, so that is my surge protector, and that is normal to see that color. And you can see the load on here. Now you cannot scan panels unless you have the cover off and the power is on. So that's where the danger aspect comes into doing infrared. So what we're going to do, we're going to turn on our AC, and we're going to get a load on this. So let's set that down. We're going to get a load on this. We're going to watch it heat up real time. Let me see here. We could put the heater on it and really heat this thing up, but I don't think we need to. We're just going to let it do. We're at least going to turn the compressor on. We could turn the heat on and get really dangerous, but we're not going to do it. And we need a screwdriver. But not just any screwdriver. We need a safe screwdriver. That looks like the right size, I think. Let me see. No, we want this size. Okay, so we got this, and we probably need a bolt cloth. Actually, you know what? We're just gonna snap this whole thing to our hip right now. One of the most underrated tool pouches ever made, the Vito MPX2. Now, just from that short time of this thing heating up, we should see some life on the wire down here. We're going to move this meter. What we're looking at is this red wire and this black wire here specifically. So this black wire here should be getting just a little bit warm. We should be able to start seeing it come to life. See how it's a little bit darker than the others? If we hit this top button up here at the very top, it's going to start to calibrate. And it's going to calibrate based on the temperatures present on the screen. And we can literally watch these things come to life as load comes onto the panel. Now we're going to speed this up a little bit. Don't do this at home. We're just going to go ahead. We're going to go ahead and loosen this wire a little bit here. Maybe someone forgot to tighten it. And you'd be surprised, guys. I see this all the time as an inspector. Should get some arcing in there. Just that little wiggle. Watch how hot this made this. See that? So that would definitely be a problem. And I'm going to show you right now. We're going to go back to the whiteboard. I'm going to show you how to determine that that's a problem. So now we've got our loose wire there. You can see it starting to heat up the whole cable. because it's starting to get warm. Now these are inverse time breakers, so they're not going to trip instantly. They're allowed to get pretty warm before they trip. And that's the thing with overloads, is that the whole time that the wire is getting hot enough to trip the breaker, permanent damage is happening to the wire, the insulation, more importantly. We're going to just kind of halfway tighten this, just like that. It's snug, but it's not really tight, and we definitely got a load on this. See here. So we're going to go back to this. Let's see what we got. And we can see where we have a problem. This is the next step. When you guys find a problem like this, and you're in the field, and you're wondering, is this a problem? This is how you identify if it's a problem or not. What you're going to do, I'm going to pull this wire out of my way. What you're going to do is you're going to get your multimeter, and you're going to select amperage. Like this. And what you're going to do is you're going to check the difference of the amperage. So we're pulling 3 amps here, and we are pulling 3 amps here. So logically, if we're pulling 3 amps on both wires, right, and the wire gauge is the same size, and if everything was tight and there wasn't a problem, we should not have a difference in temperature on these wires. If we were comparing 2 different breakers here, and one was pulling 14 amps and one was pulling 3 amps, well then yeah, looking at your infrared camera, you could say, I don't think that's a problem. You can see we're just tightening that, just that little amount. Got it less hot that fast. We're going to loosen it again. We're going to turn the heat on though. Let's really amp things up with the heater on this. How do we do it? Heat. There we go. We're going to turn on the heater. Now we're going to get the heat strips going. And we're going to really pull a load on this. We're going to go ahead and loosen it. And now we might see some arcing, because we just ramped up the intensity of the whole circuit. So you can see here we're pulling 16 amps now. And we are pulling 16 amps now. We're really going to see it get hot really quickly because we loosened that wire. Look at that. Really brings it to life on this camera, and you know you've got a problem like instantly. So as soon as we tighten this, it's going to get cold, because that's the magic of infrared. Go ahead and tighten this just like that. And we're going to look back into the infrared camera here. You can see where the circuits are very warm because of the amount of amperage we're pulling on this, and its comparison to everything else in the panel. If we're looking only at this image and we hit calibrate here, it's going to adjust the temperature range to where it doesn't look so intense, and it's going to really clarify which one's actually hotter. And a lot of your infrared cameras will automatically calibrate as they come across different temperatures. See, if I do a calibration here, you might see where we get different variations of color, because that's all that infrared is just a difference in temperature displayed in color on the screen. So we're going to loosen this again, and I'm going to show you a trick here. It's going to require some arcing, I think. It's probably going to make me jump too. Okay, so we can see the copper there. What we're going to do, we're going to take our multimeter now because we're sure we have a problem, right? We've checked the amperage. They both are pulling the same load. Okay. They both are the same gauge wire. And the amperage is the same across the board. So when we see this, we know we have a problem. We can see the top one is clearly warmer than the bottom one. The next step to this is to pull out our multimeter and get a voltage reading on this. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to millivolts like we talked to you at the beginning of the video. And I'm going to show you how to measure that. I might need a tripod here. Hang on a second. I don't know where my tripod is. Here it is. What's up, Sayer? So this is what we're going to do. We're going to get a measurement from that piece of copper of the wire. My finger's very far away, by the way. You're just very zoomed in. We're going to get a measurement on the copper to that screw right there. And then we're going to get a measurement from the screw to the bus. And then we're going to get a measurement from the bus to the main breaker. And we're going to determine where the loose connection is. Now, the only way to do this, take a second. The only way to do this is with a multimeter that has the capability for what we call a voltage drop. And this multimeter has it. A Fluke that has this capability is going to be 3 times the price. So one good reason why Fieldpiece is better is because it's got the features for the automatic light. It's got the features for the automatic lead hold here. It's got non-contact voltage sensing in here. And the head articulates so you're never trying to have a hard time reading your screen while you're clamped to your wire. We can go completely 180 degrees. No, we can't. We can go 90 degrees and then 90 degrees. So yeah, we can go a full 180. We're going to select here voltage AC right there, and we're going to go to hit range. And we're looking for millivolts right there, that MV. That's the magical reading that we need. We need millivolts, which is 1/1000th of a volt. So we're going to plug our leads in. And what's cool about millivolts is only certain multimeters will do this and able to read this. I hope it's not loud with all these dryers and washers. I'm going to pause them. I couldn't stand yelling over that machine. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to snap this because it's got a magnet on it. So we're going to put this that right there. And we're going to measure from this here to that there and see what we get. So a good connection is going to read us 0.10, and I'm going to move this here so you guys can see the multimeter only, I think. I really need my wife in here. Hang on. Can probably do that. Yeah, we can do that. So if we go to a good connection, we get 0.06, 6 millivolts. Okay, if we go to the bad connection here, where we go to the actual wire that's loose to here, you're going to see we're getting, it's kind of hard because it's making contact. It's also got to be pulling a load too. I keep seeing 42. Let me see here. There we go. 100 millivolts. It's very loose, but basically 100 millivolts is pretty standard for a very loose connection. But anything over 30 is really too much. Full load 16 amps on a 20 amp breaker. If you're getting over 30, 40 millivolts is really pushing it. Now we're starting to get an arc. Let's see what we got. $200, 170. It's kind of ranging because it's making and breaking contact, because I've got some spring action going on with this wire. But basically, you know, you found your loose connection at that point once you see your millivolts. So we can go here to the actual connection here. And you can see where you're dropping more. If you got a bad breaker, let me tighten this up. I don't want to forget to tighten it. Also don't want to hurt my AC by just letting it arc out in here the whole time. I'm not grabbing the breaker anymore. Hang on. Stop that. There we go. Okay. Oh no, we're not tight anymore. We might have to drop these leads and see what we're doing. This thing's gonna be so hot by the time we get it in there. I think it's in there this time. No, it's not in there. I need to move this camera because I just can't reach around this camera and do what I'm doing. We'll just leave it off for now. All right, so what I was saying, if we pull this breaker, right, and we were to look at the wire, you're going to notice a couple of things, okay? I'm going to show you. When you have arcing, you have pitting of your conductor. You can see where it's got some gray pitting on there. So that's not going to be a good connection anymore. You really need to cut this off and restrip. I'm going to show you why. So if we go to it's hard to get this all on camera by myself. There we go. If we go here to ohms, right here, And this is the type of meter that'll read through your body. Flukes don't really do that all that often. I'll show you here in a second. So this is a nice multimeter because it's got a 9-volt battery as opposed to like 2 AAAs or 2 AA's. So you get more voltage and more power essentially to read hand in hand, to read right through your body, where flukes just can't. But if we're going to go here to this shiny copper and we're going to go to this dull copper, you would actually see potentially a voltage drop there. Yeah, see how you're not even getting 0. You're getting like a fluctuation of a 0.5 there. That's resistance. And you really shouldn't have resistance on anything this short. 2.6, even 0.3 is unacceptable because that should be 0. You can see when they're directly touching, there's no mistake about it. That is 100% 0. And if we go to like a nice shiny part of the copper, like the very tip here, and we were to go to the shiny copper back here, you're probably also going to see 0. 0 right there. Holding steady. And if we go to this damaged part of the copper where we were pitting it, you're going to see here where we're just not going to get 0. You're going to get 1.6, which is a pretty common number. So we've got permanent resistance installed in here. Your best bet as a homeowner, as a technician, is to cut to brand new copper, re-strip, because anytime that you have pitting and oxidation like this, that's exactly what that is oxidation in the copper. And that's why it's that gray color. It'll never be the same. You're always going to lose a little bit of, you're going to have resistance here. You're going to lose a tiny bit of voltage on this connection. Always, always, always. This is what I grabbed. This is the fastest thing I had. So we're just going to restrip this and re-land it on there. Back to new copper. And once copper gets hot like this, you know, really the whole wire becomes compromised. But if we go back to this and we go 1 here and we go 1 there, you're going to see where it says 0, and it holds very steady on 0. It's very certain of that number. Where before we were jumping to 0.3, 1.7 at times. So this is definitely better. And then the same thing goes for your breaker. Your breaker has pitted connections in there too. So you can do damage to your breakers just because a breaker looks like it's good. If a circuit's been overheating or arcing inside, it's really your best interest to, 1, get more money, but 2, you know, protect that customer to where they're not going to have to call you back out because their breaker is now tripping. I'm not happy with the way that it grabbed. We may have damaged this breaker the way that we were arcing inside of it, actually, because it just does not want to grab the same like it ever did. Let's see here. Let's watch it close. Okay, I think it's good. Put it in there. It was just kind of off center. GE is not my favorite. Okay. Yeah. So the other thing you can do, if you got a bad breaker, and we'll illustrate that here once we lock this in here. Don't do this one at home. This is kind of dangerous. What we're going to do, we're just going to halfway put that breaker on. Like halfway. Actually, I'm not going to do that because you could damage your bus. But I'll illustrate it, okay? If we have the breaker not completely on, what you're going to be able to do is read a voltage drop from the main lug up here on your panel to whatever portion of your breaker is damaged. You can go from here to here. And that's going to give you a voltage drop across the whole bus all the way to this breaker. And my finger's far away, guys. And it's also against the wall, so I can't accidentally slip. Always be mindful of what your other hand is doing too. One hand's over here by my side. I'm not completing a path circuit. So if you think your breaker's bad, you can go from this connection here all the way up to there. And that's going to give you a test on this screw, the bus, the breaker tab connection, the internal switch of the breaker itself, the tightness of this lug, the connection of this lug to the other side of the switch, and if your wire is even connected properly. So you're going to get a lot of information by going here, and then you can really rule out some problems pretty quick. As soon as you get to your panel, when you turn this on and you find that you think you might have a loose connection, you can take your infrared camera like immediately and just say, yep, definitely looks like a problem here. And if that wire doesn't change color here pretty soon, we might have broke that breaker. But that's okay, because we're showing you guys on the stream basically the possibilities of failures. We created a failure purposely, and usually when you have a failure like this, it does break the breaker and it ruins the connection. So we'll just have to see how that's going to act. This garbage trim job is so let's see here. We pulled these wires out so we could show you the amperage, and I guess we'll tuck them back in. But this Wago here is for whenever it was dark in my house for 3 days and I didn't have any power. And I took all my local circuits, I traced them out, found all my local circuits so I wasn't tying back to the grid, and then hooked it up to a generator. That way I wasn't backfeeding the grid. There's no chance, because you can feed your panel, but then your neutral can backfeed to the grid. So I pulled off local branch circuits, pulled them out here, and frankly haven't had time to put it all back together. But this panel's going away anyway. It doesn't have a main. So it is what it is. We're just using it to teach you guys until I rip it out of here. Yeah, we're gonna keep an eye on that. It looks like it's cooling down, actually. You can still see where it's hot up there in that middle point. The breaker's definitely cooling down. And my wife's going to kill me because I paused the dryer for too long. And now we probably have to restart the whole cycle. Maybe. Oh, yeah. Yep, that's going to make her happy. 49? No, it remembered. That's lucky. So yeah, that's and then now we're gonna draw it out. But for you guys that are regulars here, you already know what I'm gonna tell you about this multimeter, and yes, it is spicy. So it's probably the last time you're gonna see it on the stream, and probably maybe gonna give it away. But for now, I think it's just going to go inside this box. And we might put it outside. Bonus points if I can lick it at the same time. Does the breaker have to be on? Is that a stipulation? Okay, AC is off. So then when you're presenting and you got your portfolio here and you're showing what you found, you're going to have your original picture here of the non-infrared picture. You're going to have your infrared photo of the problem. Maybe it was a loose wire here and it was showing extra hot in this one spot where it connected to something. You're going to show this. It's not going to show anything because it's just a standard image. And then your voltage drop, we saw 222 millivolts. And an acceptable range would be 40. And then, yeah, and then that's how you present. So they can see exactly what the problem is and they know what they're looking at. So that's basically how you do that. And how you use an infrared camera. And how you know what a problem is. And how to diagnose it with a multimeter using millivolts. If we go look at this Fluke, that multimeter is less than $200, I think. This multimeter is about $150, and it only has 3 functions, and it does not do voltage drop. It does volts, but it's not sensitive enough to do voltage drop. So not a knock at Fluke, but okay, who's ready for a sneak peek? Want a sneak peek? Here you go. Hope you're paying attention. That's all you get. Hopefully you're watching. They sent me that. So I gotta review on that. I think it's like a $500 power bank that's like uninterruptible, that has bidirectional charging. No, it's a power bank for your office or something from Blue Eddy. Keeps your beer cold. It probably could. But yeah, that's the infrared. Let's see here. And then when you go to your gallery, it pulls up in your Google Photos. So like it literally saves to your phone storage as a Google photo. Like this is in my Google photo. So yeah, all the photos, they don't have a proprietary app to get to all your stuff. It saves right to your phone. It's really a decent infrared camera, because I've used the FLIRs that were about 50 grand, and they were good, don't get me wrong, but this thing's $200 and just about the same quality as the FLIRs that I used in 2015. It's the world's second smallest. They have both. I think they have the world's smallest and the second smallest. This is the second smallest. So, I'm going to turn this light off. Too much lens flare. Folds up like a box. Is it 150 or 200? I think it's 50 off and it's 250 regularly. Yeah, and then it's 50 off. What's up, Stu? Yeah, 200. No, it's really, man. The Klein is not even close to that level of clarity. Not even close. So I will put the link below. If you souls, I'll put the link below. If you go to the last 2 infrared videos that we did on this channel, either one, the troubleshooting one what tools do you need for troubleshooting, or the infrared one. That link is below. Takes you to Amazon with that coupon. Maybe the Gen 3 FLIR. I don't know. I haven't messed with a FLIR in a long time. I can tell you the software on this thing and just everything about it's really, really nice. So it's a really good built work phone with IR camera. Nice. Doogie S98. That's pretty cool. Turn off your client meter. Oh yeah, it turned itself off just now. We are good. Which one did we leave on? Let's see. Okay, yeah, that one's off. I think it was this one turning off. It was reminding me. So yeah, that one turns itself off. That's still one of the better meters you can get, though. That T5, for everything that it does, and then built like a tank. Man, it's hard to... I can't eat that right now. Thank you. Klein meter is better than mine meter. Yeah. The field piece are seriously good, though. The field piece are really good. We can look at the field piece. I just can't breathe around it. So this one has continuity mode, which is going to beep when you make contact with something. Non-contact voltage sensing, so it's going to sense the current, which is here. Not here. It is here, but we got to turn it on. There. There you go. Then it's got microfarads, ohms to a level that's like insane. Let's see here. K, mega, K ohms, mega ohms. And then you've got diode testing, temperature, which goes in that slot. You've got microamps DC. You've got hertz for VFDs. You got volts DC, hertz. But then you've also got an inrush feature for motors. So check this out, guys. This is kind of cool. Watch this. This inrush feature, if we go to amps here, let me make sure I do this right. Yeah, that one. And then we select to get to amps. And then we hit inrush here. It's ready. We go to this wire here, and we got a built-in light. We can articulate the head, because this thing is awesome. So now we are ready to measure our inrush current. Okay, right there. It's not going to get the best reading because it's not in the center. But when we turn on our fan and our compressor, it's going to capture the inrush. So we can go over here, and we want to turn it to cool. This says fan. And we're going to capture the inrush current at 18.65 amps. See here? And we might be able to capture the inrush of the compressor if we're lucky. Let's see if we can capture the compressor. That might have been the compressor. Nope, compressor just turned on. So we're going to catch the amperage of the compressor inrush, 25. Pretty cool, man. Really, really nice meter. Solidly built, articulates. Yeah. George Washington, exactly. So you can capture the inrush on the fan. You can capture the inrush on the compressor. That is the, which one is that one? How much is that, Josh, right now? SC640. And I can't keep it. I can't keep it. I'll trade you, Josh. I'll send you $100 and give you that one. And you buy me a new one. What do you want to see? SC640? Let's see here. 260. Nice. I think I bought mine on Amazon. I could probably look at my history and see what I spent. You do industrial? Nice. I miss doing industrial every day. Every day I wake up and I think to myself, man, I sure do miss industrial. But then I remember that I'm an electrical inspector and I don't have to do any of that crap. And then I'm grateful. But I do miss industrial, man. The best part about industrial is working with other professionals, because if you don't do industrial, this is going to sound really bad, but your level of attention to detail, your precision, just your general attitude towards the trade is so much better as an industrial electrician. You have the CL390 with the max amp settings. Nice. I'll have to look at the Klein. I really don't, man. I don't. Food Plant, Massachusetts, nice. I've done Niagara Waters, Nestle Waters, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Dr. Pepper. Yeah, Dr. Pepper, Coca-Cola, American Beverage, White Wave, where they make silk milk. A couple of other small ones. Campbell Soup. I haven't killed it yet, dude. If it's still alive and I own it, it's not too bad. Dang. I hope they don't do that. $86,000 seconds. Nice. That's where the punishment does not fit the crime. That's hilarious. And Sigma. That's great. Dude, you got it first. What was that? No, that's something I never did, was fire alarm. Never did fire alarm, never got into it. I installed a lot of the boxes for the fire alarm because, if you got the strobe or you got the one with the horn, depending on what it is, you're going to have a double deep box. So when you're roughing all that stuff in, you got to look at the fire alarm plans and know, does this box have a 4 square with an extension? Or is it just a shallow? You got to know what device. But when it comes to actually running the wire, never got into it. I do Finish Line 3-pack, Suns, 4 Timberlands, 2 Under Armours, Ted Baker, Kipling, AutoZone, and more commercial ones. I've done a lot. Nice. I don't know, my boss used to do it. We do everything. That's pretty cool. That's one of the things, man, where if you're an industrial, you're never going to go hungry. As an electrician, you're always going to be needed. It's a good trade. I've maintenance facility companies, and they give the jobs from out of state to you locally. Yeah, that's the way it goes. Finding a short in food plants is ridiculous. I can imagine. Fortunately, I've not had to do any troubleshooting on that level of in an industrial, but it just depends on where it would be, because really industrial doesn't have too many boxes. If it's like old industrial from like the 70s, then it's really bad. But the FDA, makes that stuff get upgraded every so often anyway for, just health and stuff. So a lot of this stuff is new. Taptastics knows 2 times on the screen for a like. Yeah. Yeah, tap the screen for a like. That'd be cool. But yeah, man, we used to run like linear, just get on a boom lift and just run conduit. Of course, I was working 10s, but I could still get up in a truck washdown bay where they roll in the product and then pull it out of the trucks. I could run probably about 320 feet of plaster bond. They probably included 3 or 4 offsets, a 90 here or there, and all the ins and outs of, not hitting all the crap in a boom lift that's in your way in one day. I just wouldn't get off the lift. You just take your 1-inch bender and bend everything you need to on the lift. And that's the thing, if you got a level, which I should have in here. Oh my goodness. If the floor is not level, or your boom lift's not level, you just put your pipe across the rails of your lift. And then if you get this, like this, on your level bubble, you just make sure that your 90 also has that bubble. So you're purposely bending a crooked 90 just to match that bubble. Because if this bubble matches the other bubble, you've got a 90-degree bend. You just line up your bubbles. So if you're on a scissor lift and it's not level, you just line up to whatever your bubble showed. Yeah. Dang, Paul. Paul's keeping a watch on it. Good for you, Paul. Well, that's all we got, guys. We were right at an hour. It's pretty much what I wanted to keep it to. We got a lot of information out there. We'll probably chop this up and turn into some shorts and stuff. But all in all, man, it was a pretty good stream. I don't think we really missed any points. We did the inrush on that multimeter. And in my opinion, I mean, you can get the flukes that'll do all that, but they are very expensive. If you were actually doing it professionally and you're only doing infrared and you're showing up for one day to do infrared all day and you didn't do anything else, I would say get fluke. But the average person, man, Is inrush different from max amp setting? Yes. Current inrush is captured in the middle of a sine wave. So as your AC current is going like this, right? 60 hertz, 60 times a second. You've got 60 cycles in a second going. Only for a couple of cycles is that current very high. So when you have inrush current, it's kind of like being in first gear in your car, where it uses a lot of power and your RPMs go up really high. And then once you shift gears, it comes back down and then it kind of levels out, right? You've only got a couple of seconds in that sine wave, not seconds, sorry. You've only got a couple of milliseconds. You've got 60 cycles in a second. You've got less than 10 cycles to capture this. So if your normal amperage, lock rotor's typically 4 times. I think lock rotor is 4 times the running amps. So you've only got a split second to catch the inrush current before it drops down to a normal level. And not a lot of multimeters will do that. So I don't know what the max amp setting is on a Fluke, but the fact that it doesn't say inrush is probably tells me that it doesn't do inrush, because inrush would be like a buzzword for a selling point on something. It's possible they might have just made their own names for it, but and your inrush can help you diagnose a lot of things too, because if you've got a breaker that instantly trips at a certain point, you might say, okay, well, what's my inrush on it? There could be something going on in the motor or the circuit or whatever's going on, where if you're pulling more amperage than you should on your inrush, you got an issue. Or if you're peaking, 30 amps on a 20 amp breaker and it's tripping instantly and it's not giving it a chance to even, because they're inverse time circuit breakers, so they wait a little bit before they trip instantly. You could have a scenario where that breaker just doesn't want any amperage in it and just trips instantly, and you could have a bad breaker. So you can measure your inrush and say, well, 30 amps for a millisecond is okay on a 20 amp breaker. I think when we saw 25 amps on that was a 2-pole 20. So it's perfectly normal to see that much amperage. You just can't sustain it. If you're pulling too many amps, then you should. Yeah, Paul, that's true. So that inrush is also a good selling point for customers too. Because if you talk with this much confidence about someone's problem and you're talking about all this stuff, dude, you've already sold the job, because you're going to be doing it as the individual that knows just exactly what they're talking about. So if you can show them all this data and you got all the tools to do it, you're more likely to get that job too. You can show the voltage drop. A lot of people will just be taking a stab at the dark. Well, we're going to think it's this breaker because it trips. It's just a nuisance trip breaker, Well, we saw that the wire was turning a certain color, so it might be hot. They might just replace the breaker, but they might not strip the wire. And then you still got damaged wire that you're tightening to a new breaker, which still has oxidation on the connection. So then as time goes on, you don't have a good connection, and then you're back in the same boat where the amperage creates the arcing, and then the arcing creates more pitting, and the pitting creates more heat, and then the heat creates, it's just a vicious cycle. Yeah, that's too long. 30 amps on a 20 for 60 seconds is definitely a problem. And that's where the line splitter comes into play, because you can take that line splitter and you can go to the panel and you can look at the panel and say, man, this circuit's pulling the whole breaker. What is plugged into this thing? And then the customer's like, well, I've got this fridge and this fridge and this light and this, you know, and you say, no, we need to run another circuit. And they're going to say, well, man, it's been working this whole time. Why all of a sudden do I need to run a new circuit? And it's like, well, your breaker wasn't really tripping and you're probably doing damage to your wire this whole time. Luckily, your breaker tripped this time, and we can see where the insulation's kind of melted to the copper. We really need a new circuit. You can take that line splitter, plug into the appliance that you've got, take an amperage reading on that line splitter and show them exactly what that appliance is running. And then you can take the inrush current on that and show them, you know, at peak amps, this thing's pulling this much. And as your motor gets old or your motor starts doing whatever it's doing, you might have a situation where the motor's getting locked and stuck in lock rotor. It could just be pulling too much amperage because of bad bearings. You could have a bad capacitor that's pulling too much amperage constantly. There's a bunch of situations where you're going to lose efficiency in your circuit and you're going to be pulling too many amps in what you normally would. If you got an air restriction for your AC unit, might be working too hard. Tape off the outlet, yeah. So the line splitter is useful because you can really show the customer real time right at the appliance. You don't have to take them to the panel. You can take it to a safe cord, a safe receptacle, put your multimeter right on that line splitter, and show the amperage real time. Let me see if I've got one here. This door is so noisy. I usually have a line splitter here. The one that I bought is almost too small for my clamp meter to go on, so it's not like a tool that I'm too worried about where it is at all times. But still a really useful tool to have. Yeah, I don't see my line splitter. Basically, it separates the hot and the neutral. And then you can read the neutral separate than the hot, which means you can read the amperage of the appliance or cord or whatever you got. I found an outlet today that looks like a 110, but it's a 220. You go back to the breaker. He said you can't help you. You found an outlet today that looks like a 110, but it's a 220. Perfect. Hi.
I love you.
I love you too.
Are you almost ready to eat these?
I'm going to eat those.
Okay.
Okay. Did I ever give the shocker? Of course. So a short extension cord with no outside insulation. Yeah, make your own line splitter. Yeah. Yeah, you can do that. The nice thing with the line splitter is they have a 10 times multiplier on one side. So if you're running like an LED system, right, that only uses a very little amount of amperage, let's say it's 0.10, and it's got a multiplier of 10, it's easier to read 1 amp on your multimeter than it is all those decimals sometimes. So if you've got like a weird decimal, you can put the 10, you know, the times 10 multiplier on there and get like a whole number on there to where you can kind of easier find out what's going on. Sometimes the amperage is so small that it doesn't even want to, you know, short stick, maybe. Sometimes it doesn't even want to show up the amperage. It's just so low. Electrician's rule. What's the electrician's rule? I wish I could find that line splitter, man. Where is it? Might be in this drawer. We were zoomed in too much. Hang on. That's better, maybe. I feel like I zoomed in more than I was. Let me see. Oh yeah, no I did. That was not good. We're going to pretend like we didn't drop those. Use the 100, use the 10 times side to tell the customer you're pulling 100 amps with that hairdryer. Actually, you'd probably be pulling 200 amps with a freaking hairdryer. But we need a whole panel. You need a whole nother service for this one appliance, man. I'm gonna let you know what I think about these live. This might not be a nice review. No promises. I'm pretty picky. We're gonna find out real time what Tools and Tactics thinks about these. First off, is the packaging better than Tough Builds? Because Tough Builds was like breaking into Fort Knox, if you guys recall. Kind of dangerous too. Tough Build's packaging was so dangerous. It was kind of scary. KnipX rules, yeah. Always going to be a sucker for Klein, though. So we've got a number 3. That's interesting. We've got a number 2 4-inch, a number 2 6-inch. I like the 4-inch personally. We've got the 1/4-inch 4 and the 3/16 6. Okay. So we got our trim 3/16 here, as it says here. That's nice. And it's weird. It almost seems like there should be like insulation on them. They are just blacked out completely. Made in USA. Is the grip made in USA or is the whole thing made in USA? It says made in USA. Klein Tools, Mexico. Mansfield, Texas. Right down the road from me. Made in USA. It does say Klein Tools de Mexico, but I don't know. Do what you will with that info. Yeah. Do not pry or chisel. Do not insulated. Standard. So I don't know how I feel about the tips. I really don't. We're going to have to take a switch and find out. Let's see if we can really round it off. Let's see. We're going to maybe break the switch in half. Let's see. Might hurt too. No, it rounded off. But we did crack the switch. But so we got a little bit of, so we rounded it off right there. It got very tight and it fit good. Oh, we might have damaged the screw more than the screwdriver. That'd be good. Let's see. Oh, no, it's fine. Fits pretty nice on there, actually. Then we got the long one, which I'm never going to use something this long. It's not insulated. Probably not going to be using this on a panel. I'd use a square. I'd use a Robertson. I'd use a ECX. I'd use a flathead for terminating before I used a freaking Phillips, because most of your screws just don't fit a Phillips. But it's nice. The usability of it's kind of zero for me. Too long for a tool pouch. And but these are never going to see a job site, dude. These are staying at the house. This is basically pointless. It's just another part of the set, but really it's a number 1, so it's never going to get used. for anything. Even a number 2 fits better on this screw for this thing than the number 1 does. The grips do feel nice though. All Klein grips are pretty nice. Really spins in your hand nice. Get a nice spin with it. And just the perfect grab right there where you get all the torque. No hard edges like Milwaukee did. Milwaukee put really hard edges on their stuff. Drove me crazy. I can actually show you what I did with my Milwaukee if I went and got it. I hate Milwaukee screwdrivers though. So I've said this a couple of times and now I really mean it. These are very light for what they are. The Klein definitely has more weight to it. And the scale is outside. Man, I'm tired of getting up from this stream. You guys want to measure the difference? What I did on the Milwaukee was just round it off with the sander. That way it was not so aggressive because the Milwaukee really sucks, man. Anybody that has these, I'll be doing inspections and I'll pick them up out of electricians' bags and be like, man, what do you think about this? Right? And pretty much 9 times out of 10, the answer is it sucks. The grip sucks. The hard edges suck. It's just not a great feeling tool. The tips on these, however, are kind of legendary. We hammered a screw with a 3-pound drilling hammer. Just beat the crap out of this thing. And the tips are nice. I'll give credit where it's due. They would make a nice beater. Do they even fit on the screw still? Actually, it doesn't even fit on the screw anymore. Let me see. No, so it doesn't even fit on the screw anymore after beating it. You can see where it just falls off. Nothing a grinder couldn't fix, but I don't know, man. I really don't like the new Milwaukee screwdrivers. You've accidentally put your impact 11-1 on a hot breaker and didn't get shocked. Yeah, well, you probably weren't touching anything. I mean, that's pretty normal. I like this size of screwdriver. Well, let's see how it holds up. It's hard to know, man, because a good Klein screwdriver looks like this. Proceeds not to find one. Everything is outside. Everything is outside. Where it goes from the nice shiny to the heat treated black up here. When I see this, I know that I can trust the screwdriver for beating, prying, all the things it says not to do on the instructions, right? We know that they're going to last on the Klein when they do that. When they already come black, I don't know, man. I just don't trust it. I'm sure it's the same. I just don't trust it. Now it's got some notches going across on the top of here. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's got some nice lines. And it feels good. They feel really grippy too. Yeah, they actually feel grippier. I was kind of noticing that. It could be because they're new. I don't know. They feel very grippy, like more grippy than normal. Probably because they're new. They're almost sticky. I think it's because they're new. But man, they feel good. It's hard to go wrong with a screwdriver like this. My final thought on it is I don't know if I trust them because they don't have the same finish of, you know, what a screwdriver has when you know that it's been treated. So something about the silver fading into the black tip here lets me know that it's going to last for a long time. But they're kind of cool. I don't regret buying them, but I don't know. I just don't know how I feel about it. They're kind of weird. They're all black. They look and feel like every other screwdriver, where they just don't look great. And it makes me think that they're not built great. But they're probably the same. I don't like them all black. I really don't. Torque test it. Make screwdrivers get right again. Yeah. I still like this, man. I use this thing just about every day. These have some nice tips on it. And I'm always opening things up. That's held up pretty well. So even on this, like you might see where this might actually hold the screw. Is it going to hold? Let's see. It's not going to. It's like on there, but then it's not. This one will. Yeah, see that? I mean, that holds nice. And we've been abusing these screws. That's pretty crazy. The Klein tips for this just fits nice. They really do. Yeah, this thing is made for terminating devices, man. This thing, all the bits are completely parallel. They don't taper. They just fit amazing. Square D has those screws that are the number 2 with the most terrible flathead that tapers to like 0 as it pans down. And you just look at them and they're ready to strip. And there's no way you're going to put a Phillips screwdriver on it. There's no way. Show Noah the Klein insulated. The flip. Where is the flip? Did we not bring it in here? Dude, we didn't bring jack shit in here today. Let me go get it. We had it in the panel. And where it went, I do not know. Damn. Oh, it's behind my laptop, so I couldn't see it. Yeah, the Klein flip's hard to beat, man. You can't beat the Klein flip. The Klein flip, you blow it up and you just go buy another one of these. And then you got a really, really good grip on here. And you can, I mean, you can flip this with one hand if you have to. If you're holding something here, or you got a hot glove on this hand and you're just trying to do something, you can, this thing's big enough to where you can really flip it around with one hand and do what you got to do. You know, you realize you got the wrong size, whatever you're doing. You can pop this out, pop another one in. The Klein flip is awesome. You can even, if they're sitting in your tool pouch like this, and they're just kind of up like this, you just drop it on there. If you don't want to, you can spin it and pop it off, put it back on. So I usually leave them right here in my Vito, like that. And then you can just drop it down on there, get the one you want, just push it against yourself, and then you're good to go. And then you can drop it back in there. And then go grab another one. Grab it enough to where you got it, and then push it up against your body. And then you're good to go. The flips are hard to beat, man. This turned out to be a pretty nice screwdriver. The grip on it, it's really light. The retention on it's pretty nice. I just don't know if I trust Milwaukee tips. I trust the Klein ones a lot. I wish the Klein made a ECX in this, because that would be like OP. But this didn't turn out so bad. It's really not that bad. This is probably one of my favorite Milwaukee screwdrivers. But it's got a lot of moving parts. You have to use two hands to get this out. So I do a lot. If I'm working, I can literally leave this right here in my hand and completely work with the device in my hand and tighten a screw, right? Completely. And get torque on it. Loosen it. Manipulate whatever you got to do. And this will still be in my hand here. And I'll forget I'm even carrying it. So I really like being able to articulate things without having to use two hands, because usually I'm carrying something in my other one. So the fact that you can just pop this off, put it down, grab another one, whatever you want to do. It's not falling right now. Is really nice. I'd rather have individual screwdriver instead of flip. I kind of agree with that. The flip doesn't feel like a multi-bit driver. So I do prefer individual screwdrivers, but the flip really takes care of that, because it doesn't feel like it saves on space, and they're big, so you're not going to lose them, and they're really fast to switch out. So my exception to individual drivers is the flip, because it's that good. And then your Phillips and your flathead is on the same one. So if you're switching from Phillips to flathead, damn, you're just a flip away from getting what you need versus having to pull out the whole back of the screwdriver and then, find the one you need. And then what I did recently, I threw away one of these bits. I just put it in my drawer somewhere because they had a really tiny Torx on here. And then I always had a bit hanging out of here. So I just did away with the actual bit. And now they all fit here. And this goes in the back pocket without having another bit. But the knurling on this, just everything about this is pretty perfect. Yeah, well, we took one and we hammered in it like it was a nail. The tips on the flip are really good. You can trust these to last. We pounded one with a hammer through a 2x4 like it was a nail. They're strong. All right, well, that's all the time we got. We're going to get out of here. Appreciate all the support. Yeah, let me know what you want to do with that. Blah, blah, blah. Can't talk. Let me know what you want to do about that multimeter, Josh. Yeah, I've got it in there. The vessel's nice. I can go get that real quick before we go. So I got the vessels here. The ball here for the isolation is a little bit gimmicky for me because this portion here isn't even insulated all the way down here. So to try to insulate the cap from here, I mean, I guess it's nice, but I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, so the vessels are nice. They feel good, everything. Nothing wrong with the vessel. This is kind of cool because it turns into a tiny stubby, which ratchets. So that's like rule number one, right? If you're going to have a stubby, you probably want it to ratchet because you don't really, if you're truly in a confined space, you really never want to let go of your screwdriver. So typical screwdriver, you've got to let it go at some point to get another grab on it. And if you are in a confined space, not having to let go of this thing and getting another bite is kind of huge. And then you can switch out the tips on it. It's pretty nice. The ratchet is a little bit easy to turn on this, but it's a nice screwdriver. Am I supposed to have my 870 by now, Josh? Because I don't have it yet. Was it supposed to already be here? The fuel bandsaw has one flaw. What's wrong with the fuel bandsaw? If you touch the bell clip on an impact driver during hot work, you will get shocked. Yesterday. Yeah, you might want to check it, man. I don't have mine yet. It was kind of storming over here. I wasn't sure if you had sent it yet. You might. The latch on the front. Latch on the front of what? Mine didn't get there either. Jamie. That's great. I gotta go, guys. Kids are wanting to go to sleep and all that stuff. But hey, if you guys learned something or just have any questions or thought the stream was cool, definitely hit the thumbs up. It helps the stream. What I've shown you here is stuff that only a handful of electricians with 100 miles of my house know. I've given away pretty good secrets here. So if you guys got any questions or anything, hopefully this helps you guys out. I've had a lot of questions about this whenever I was doing inspections. A lot of contractors will ask me, hey, how you do infrared? My boss sent me to this house. We had the camera, but I really didn't know what I was looking at. So appreciate it, Noah. Okay, that's all I got. I'm gonna put my little tiny camera away now. So this is how you put this away. Take your infrared camera. You put it in there like that. And that's it, man. It's nice and tight in there. Tiny, 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 easy to lose. But good to always have on you. So if you're doing a lot of home inspections, this is the one. And then what I usually do, I'll take this cord. I won't bend it too much, but I loop it in here. That way I've always got the cord and it's harder to lose. Yeah, the thing works amazing. We just did a whole live on it. It works really good, better than the Klein. Bang for your buck, dollar for dollar. Head and shoulders better than the Klein. That's cool, Jonathan. Okay. That's all I got. Oh, I'll catch up with you here in a minute, Josh. We'll see you guys later. Get the pizza rolls. We'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching.